Fess like Prerez Prado, you like him too. What was unique about his playing?
Prerez Prado, for those who don't know, Prerez Prado is most famous as being the face of the mambo for white American audiences in the 1950s into the 1960s. And he led a big band and appeared in films and made hit records. Cherry Blossom Pink and Apple White was one of them. Patricia is another one, which got used on a Guinness advert.
That's my
fairly
favorite
recently. Something he wrote about sheep who must be obeyed at all times. What a lot of people don't know is that he was a really good piano player from Cuba. Benny Morey was the singer in his band for several years when they were based out of Mexico City. And Prerez Prado's piano playing kind of took a backseat to his organ playing in later years. And there's a certain kind of... It was considered pretty... I mean, you listen to it, they're really great records, but it was considered the epitome of cheese. Really. It was very cheesy later on. Which I think is why it was used to such good effect in the Guinness advert. But he was a good piano player, and there's one of his I really like. He had a real funky band, big mambo orchestra. He was billed as the king of the mambo, though sometimes Tito Puente claimed that, and Tito Rodriguez did too. And Cachao was considered to be the inventor of the mambo, but Prerez Prado claims to be the king of the mambo. And the piano kind of occasionally featured in those records, but more often than not, if you ever see film of him, he's out in the front dancing and conducting the band. But I'll play you a little Prerez Prado piano tune. This one's simply called Havana, and it's from the 1940s, I guess. With a bit of chopsticks right yeah, I love that tune. I always loved that tune. The first time I heard it, conjures up something so romantically evocative of Havana, or for me, my money for old New Orleans too, really. Those changes. I love those changes. And those are changes I used to hear when I heard James Booker playing the blues. And the funky aspect of it, that... And the question Sonny asked made a reference to Professor Longhair. It was always obvious to me that there were all these connections, but they were very, not very well documented connections, but you could hear it in the music. And it was interesting a couple of years ago when I actually was asked to play some piano at a little talk they were doing about Professor Longhair in the grandstand at the fairgrounds at Jazz Festival time, and Fess's daughter was there. And Uganda was there, Uganda Roberts, who's Uganda was the percussionist that played with Professor Longhair. And he mentioned in the interview that he used to go, and I didn't know this, I just found this out, and it fell off the chair because it made so, it's what I'd always suspected, but it was confirmation. He said, yeah, they'd sit round by Fess's house and they'd play Prerez Prado records. And it makes perfect sense, because what Fess was doing, really, one man on the piano, which is what all piano players do, which is you imitate the band. You've got the bass part, you've got the percussion, what the drums are doing, and then you've got the solos. And you can do it all. And so for that groove, that that funky stuff and Fess would be. It's the riff, when you go, see the mighty ground. So I think that's what he was doing, and that's kind of, like I say, I mean, Jelly Roll Morton, I think, did the same thing. And, you know, New Orleans being a percussion town, African Caribbean town, wedged on the right at the bottom of the United States at the Gulf of Mexico, it's the percussion is the thing that drives it, it's the engine, and piano is a percussion instrument, so you feel all that stuff. And when you play a solo gig, and all piano players played solo gigs, and they played with bands, and when you're playing with the band, other instruments assume those roles and take the weight off you. But if it's just you have to imply what a whole band is doing, as if you can, you know, if you can do it right. And that's, I think, what Fess did, and that's where some of those Caribbean flavors can be tasted, you know, in his music. So I hope that's a good answer to your question.